Hey, it's Mr. Jones here, and we're going to talk about multiplying binomials. We're going to talk about special cases, though. We're going to talk about multiplying the difference of two squares. We're going to talk about multiplying a certain binomial that is squared and what that special case means. And so let's go ahead and hop right to it. If I have a binomial, let's say 3p plus 4, and that binomial is squared, there's a special case we can use, and that is if I have the sum of two numbers squared, it would follow the square of the first number plus 2 times the first number and the second number plus the last number squared. So let's take a look at it. The first thing I'm going to do is see if I can find out what this first and second number is. And so I'm going to say the first number, A, is going to be 3p. My second number, B, is going to be 4. So if I'm to follow this pattern, I can write something out like this. This would equal 3p squared plus 2 times 3p times 4 plus 4 squared. Now what we're used to doing is separating those factors and then using the FOIL method. And there's nothing wrong with that, but this is just a little something to help you move a little faster when doing these types of problems. And so let's go ahead and take a look at it. Well, 3p squared means 9p squared. 2 times 3 is 6, times 4 is 24, times p, and 4 squared is 16. It's simplified as much as it can go. Let's do a recap. So this is the rule. Two numbers, the sum of two numbers squared follows this pattern. The first number squared plus 2 times the first number and the second number plus the last number squared. So let's take a look at how it worked here. We wrote out our first number, we wrote out our second number. The first number squared plus 2 times the first number and the second number plus the second number squared. And we have 9p squared plus 24p equals 16. Let's try another example. Here I'm following a similar rule except for I have the difference of two numbers squared. And so what I'm looking at here is I'll have a squared minus 2 times the first number times the second number plus the square of the second number. So note, because of this, the thing that changed for us was our second term would then start off with a minus 2ab. Let's see how it works. Our first term, a, is x. Our second term, b, is 6. And so we are then going to put it into our form here. So that's the first number squared, that's x squared, minus 2 times a times b, and that's going to be plus our last number squared. And there's actually another way to do this, and I'll show you that in a method. We can actually use our first method to do this if we just look at our 6 as a negative number. But let's finish this method first. X squared, negative 2 times 6 is a negative 12, times x is a negative 12x, plus 36. And we get the correct answer, but we were doing so looking at our b as a positive number. Let's look at our b as a negative number. So we have a equals x and b equals a negative 6 like suggested right here. And so we're doing this work a little differently than we did that work. We're actually going to use the first thing we learned, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And so let's take a look at it. Here's a squared plus 2 times a times, now remember b is a negative 6, plus negative 6 squared. And you'll see that we'll come out with the same answer. X squared, 2 times a negative 6 is a negative 12, times x is a negative 12x. And negative 6 squared is a positive 36. We actually came out with the same answer using our first method, but just making sure our b was noted as a negative 6 instead of a positive 6. Let's try one more, just for kicks. All right, and so for our a, we have 2h squared. For our b, we have a negative k squared. We're going to go ahead and use this method. And so now that we have this information, let's go ahead and put these numbers and substitute them in for a and b. And so we have 2h squared, and don't forget that is squared, plus 2 times a, 2h squared, times b, a negative k squared, plus whatever b is squared. That's a negative k squared, and it is also squared. Let's simplify. This would be 2 squared, which is 4, and h squared squared, which is h to the 4th power. 2 times 2 is 4. And don't forget this is an implied negative 1, which will make that a negative 4, times h squared times k squared. Now we have a negative k squared squared. Well, if we have a negative number that is squared, that's going to give us a positive number in the end. And so if we square k to the 2nd power, we get k to the 4th power. It's simplified as far as we can go.